Good morning. This is another one of those days where A, the video is late, and B, I've tried to do this intro like 5 times by now. So hopefully this is the last one. And this video is supposed to be pretty short. Of course, I've said that before, so we'll see how this goes. The only agenda for this video is to talk about the reason for my hiatus. And not that anybody's asked, but it ties in with our conversations about freedom as a believer. So I think it's apropos to talk about it in this video. So around May, I started doing these YouTube videos. I didn't really know what would come of them when I started. I mentioned before, it was just kind of an outlet, kind of a way to, I don't know. Yeah, just an outlet, you know? It was a rough season, and I just wanted an outlet. I wanted an outlet. And I do journal, and I blogged from time to time, but I found that my mind works faster than my hands, and my hand would be cramping up from writing so fast, trying to just get everything out. And then, I don't know. Anyway, videos just seemed easier at the time to kind of process things. And I did a couple, and they helped. They helped me kind of work through, because I think I might be more of a verbal processor. So it kind of just helped me work through some things and understand some things a little bit better. And then I didn't know how long I'd be doing it. So yeah, I was doing them for a while. And then I had a conversation with some of the people from our church via Zoom. And we're just talking about different I would say passions and desires and things. And one young lady on the call mentioned like just the beauty and importance of being in a church where they can validate and encourage your gifts and kind of help steer them in the right direction. And I was really challenged by that because up until that point, I hadn't talked to our church leadership about these videos. And I was really convicted in that meeting, like, oh, I guess I should have ran this by somebody. And I don't always think like that, right? Had gotten used to kind of doing some things without thought, without really involving other people or getting insight or counsel about those things. So yeah, I was really convicted in that meeting or in that conversation. And I think it was maybe the next day I called our leader, our pastor's wife, and just talked to her about the videos and, you know, just to get a feel for what she thought. And she was like, no. And I was so disappointed because I really, at that point, I think I put out like 6 or 7 videos and I was really excited. And I was not expecting that quick. I mean, to me it was quick, but that like very clear no. And it wasn't like she was mad I was doing it. And it wasn't like she said never, but she was like, I don't think that right now is the right time, but we watched part of one together. And she was like, okay, this is not bad. You know, like this might be something that you really should pursue. And then, but we were talking about other things. That wasn't the main focus of that conversation, but she was encouraging. You know, it wasn't like, I think that conversation gave me more hope to keep going, but I didn't get like that hard and firm, yes, go do it now. And so I didn't. I still held off. I think at that point I did that video that I mentioned before about why I stopped doing it, like the initial explanation that this video is now going to replace. But I did that video then, and because I think I anticipated starting up again sooner. That was, I mean, if I ended in May, was that 5 months ago? And I met with our pastor's wife about something totally separate. And then, but I intentionally went to her this time in the beginning stage because I didn't want to do it again where I got started on something and then was disappointed if she said to not do it or she didn't think it was the right time to pursue something. So I was like, I want to go to you now instead of like, unlike how I did with the YouTube videos on the back end. And so then we talked about both of them, both, I guess, endeavors or ideas, I guess we'll say. And she encouraged me to do both. And I was so excited. And I was shocked because I wasn't really looking for that. I wasn't really asking about that again. But I was really grateful that she said that it was okay to continue them. because I really did enjoy them. So yeah, that is the story of what happened. In short, the leadership at my church didn't think it was a good idea, and so I stopped. I want to be really clear about, I'm not saying this to toot my own horn, because it wasn't that long ago that there were things that leadership was saying and I was not listening. And I certainly don't say that as like it's a good thing. It's awful. And I mean, it's disobedience, right? There's no other way to say that. Like, I am learning all the more how important it is to honor the people that are in authority over you and to obey, especially in the structure of the church, right? The church is God's institution. It's God's idea, his design, and he puts people in play, right? He puts those people in those positions, and then he gives them authority over the church. You know, like, no pastor has more authority than Christ, but they do have authority over the people that they oversee, right? And I'm getting better at these references, y'all, but there's a passage in the New Testament that says, essentially, don't make the jobs of your leadership harder. They watch for your souls, you know, like, they're already doing that. They don't need you to, like, make their jobs harder, you know, like, so anyway, I'm learning that, and just the importance of obedience, you know, like, God honors obedience. He honors when you want to do things his way. He's not going to honor you just out here like a lone ranger doing whatever you want. Like, why would he? That's like a parent who tells their child to do something. They do the exact opposite, boldly, loudly, unapologetically. And the parent's like, okay, here's a gift, Johnny. You know, here's your toy back, or here's a prize. Like, that's crazy. You know, we would say those parents are irresponsible. And yet I used to expect the same thing of God. And honestly, I have to check myself now to constantly be in a place of, okay, am I doing what God told me to do? Is there something I'm missing? And usually, yes, there are things I'm missing because I'm still learning and growing. But there's more of a desire to do right by God, a desire to be obedient to what he's saying. And myself, like, Robin, you're supposed to obey. Robin, you are supposed to submit to authority. Doesn't matter how you feel about any given instruction. It doesn't matter if you ever thought it was unfair. Like, these things don't matter. At the end of the day, God is watching my heart. He's watching my obedience. Here's the thing with emotional outlets. They're not always good. You know what I mean? Like, just because it makes you feel better in the moment doesn't mean it's good. That's a whole other topic. But that's why I was gone for 5 months. I want to continue to grow in obedience and grow in my commitment to God, and then in my commitment to the local church. Excuse me. So I can't do that and then ignore the authority placed above me. They see things in me that I may not see. And I have to respect that and honor that. So yes, that's where I've been. And I think that's important to say to people, because that's the beauty of freedom in Christ, is that I don't have to respond how I used to. Really, what freedom is for a believer is understanding that we live in God's power, and so we can do what he asks us to do. You know, it's not like a carte blanche, like I can just do whatever and there's no consequences. But this is a freedom that says I'm not bound by my emotion. I don't have to have an emotional response. I'm not bound by how I used to do things or how I used to think about things. But I'm free to agree with what God says. I'm free to be empowered to do what God has required me to do. I don't have to say like, oh, it's impossible to obey, or it's impossible to honor your leadership, or it's too hard, or whatever. Like, no, I'm free to do that because I can say no to sin. I can say no to that thing in me, that part that's like, I want to do my own thing. I just want to do what I want to do, you know? And we have to keep feeding that view of freedom, that understanding of freedom, where it's like, I am free to do God's will. I am free to say no to sin. I am free to not succumb to every thought or desire or emotion that comes in my mind. And that's the kind of freedom that we need to be fighting for and advocating for in each other and in ourselves. So yeah, that's about it. That's what I want to share with you guys today. My reasoning for being away, because it does tie in with what we're talking about, freedom. And I'm sure there'll be other time, but it's all part of the journey, all part of the adventure of living for the Lord and learning, shutting off this old sin nature, this old way of thinking about things and doing things, and embracing the reality of life in Christ and who he died so that we could be, who he created us to be originally. So, yep, that's it for today. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been trying to get better at editing these videos. And so you probably see like little glitches where you can tell I've cut things out. Bear with me. I'm still figuring all this out. But yeah, thank you for listening. And if you have any questions or comments or want to share or talking about freedom, let's do it. Yeah, thanks for watching.